What gwine, brothers and sisters out there, man? It's your boy Captain Smoke, man. We're here with another episode of the Higher Learning Podcast, man. And, I'm really happy about this one. I saw some things. Obviously, we've all seen things in the world that, as black people that are really just discouraging and disheartening. But for me, when I hear something from a racist or all lives matter type person, I expect that. It doesn't faze me. I expect that. I've been seeing that my whole life. But when I see black men and women tearing at each other's throats, it never ceases to hurt me because we're all we got out here. So what I wanted to do with my platform is try to heal those bonds a little bit, bring black men and women together in a loving and healing environment, and just, having discussions. How can we improve upon, how can we be better for each other, and how can we, push our community forward, and how can we unify? Because obviously we have an entire conglomerate of people out there that are against us and just want us dead just because we are who we are. So, I invited some wonderful ladies onto my podcast from Facebook who have been out here in these social media streets, really, having discussions. Because it's one thing to just, put out the topic, but it's another thing to intelligently discuss it and provide research and provide points. So I extended this invite to a lot of people. And for this first installment, I was able to get 2 people with more that want to come on afterwards. So if you weren't able to make it on this episode, don't worry. We'll definitely have more to come. And also, we need you in the comment section. You don't have to necessarily be on the pod, speaking to push a conversation forward. You can always comment down below on YouTube or the Higher Learning Facebook on the Higher Learning Facebook page, et cetera, et cetera. So without further ado, guys, I want to get straight into this episode. We cover a lot of great topics, and you can see as the episode, it starts off really like with our hearts being really heavy about what we've experienced and what we've been seeing. And then just as we are able to express it and get it off our chest, like, oh man, I can't describe the feeling, but it was just such a great feeling. Thank you to the ladies for coming onto the podcast and just, sharing your energy and your time and your wisdom with me. And, for those of you that weren't able to make it, I hope everything's okay. I hope everything, we have somebody that was supposed to be here that had some family troubles and wasn't able to make it. So I'm not sure what that situation is, but I, sending energy to you and your family and hope everything's good. So without further ado, thank you for tuning in to the Higher Learning Podcast.
pissed that they have to wear a mask outside. Like, these are my rights. These are my rights. Like, bitch, like, what? Like, but that's a different discussion. That's a totally different discussion. Having these conversations with, and I don't feel guilty at all for having these conversations with uh making people uncomfortable or any of that stuff anymore. In the beginning, I definitely felt like, not anymore. I don't, not anymore.
And really, why should we? It's like I feel like especially like our grandparents, for example, they were more along that lines of just like, don't make white people uncomfortable and it'll make your life easier. And I mean that they're not
Mm-hmm.
wrong, but it's like that's not like we not going for all that, because it's just like you can watch this cop kneel on this dude's neck for 8 or 9 minutes, whatever, 8 minutes 46. Like you can watch that on, like, so
Mm-hmm.
how can you think, oh, well, maybe if I cut my hair, he'll, see me as less of a threat, or maybe if I, comply. This man's on the ground handcuffed. Like, how am I resisting, other than I'm trying to breathe? So, and then, so it's like, so at what point do we have the right to defend ourselves against police who are just obviously trying to murder us?
Right.
So it's just like, it's stressful just going out, because it's like, shit, you get pulled over. That's a life and death situation, even if you didn't do anything
Mm.
wrong.
Mm.
It's like,
For sure.
and then it's like it doesn't matter if you're male or female. I mean, I can't remember exactly when, but there was a video going around on Facebook where there was like a car. There were two cars. The car in front had like two white kids in it or something, and then the car behind it had like a young black man and a young black woman. I don't know if you've seen that one. And they like,
Oh yeah, that was in Atlanta.
Atlanta, okay. So you know what I'm talking about. When they, there's clearly a car here breaking the same curfew that y'all are saying the black kids are breaking, but they're breaking their windows and like dragging them out of the cars, and so
Yes.
when we get into the topic of like, protecting black women, it's like as a man, it's like, wow, what if I'm with, a young lady and we get pulled over and I'm on the ground with three cops on my neck and they beating her or pulling her off. Like, what am I supposed to do but resist and try to help? Or, and then I get
Mm-hmm.
killed. And then, if she survives, she's scarred for like, like, why? For what? Like, I haven't done nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong, but because I fit a description, or because, they're scared for their lives when they pull me over. It's like, it's crazy that we have to, you know, deal with that for no reason.
Yes. Yes. We're like, and when the post, the original post said something about like protecting black women don't feel protected by black men. I can't remember the exact wording. And when people were like so offended, like it it was offended that they were offended, because it's like you are mad at the fact that somebody doesn't feel protected by you, and instead of like saying, damn, like what can I do, or why did you feel that way? Like y'all, well not y'all, but instantly people instantly were like, y'all are lying, like y'all bitches are mad because a relationship didn't work out, or like no, it's so much deeper than that. And I'm not asking, I mean, in the word protect, like we're not saying like I need you to go out and fight these men for us. Like no, like people want to feel like, well, we have your back and you're loved. That's the kind of protection that they're mentioning over and over again. And I think like the first thing they think about is fighting, or
Yep. Or dying in a
that's
gunfight or something. Cause
yes,
yeah,
that's not what people are saying.
right. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because honestly, I'll be completely honest, like I was hurt, like not so much because I felt like offended that they would say that, but I just felt hurt that so many women just felt like that, like because it just read like, okay, so y'all are feeling the same fear that I feel, like I was just talking about getting pulled over, and it's like, as a man, and we can get into gender roles later, but that's one thing that you would want to be able to do. Well, two things: you want to be able to at least provide and protect your woman and the women in your life or around you or in general, so it's just like to feel like so many women felt that way. It's just hurtful. And that's why I felt like when people feel hurt and personally attacked, sometimes are like a reflex is to like lash out in the opposite direction. And that's what you were saying. Like some guys were saying, oh, you're hurt because of, trying to like minimize or
deflect
deflect,
everything. And I was like, are y'all slow, or y'all just like doing everything in your power to like jab at the real problem? I still really can't necessarily figure that out. Like if y'all just are willfully blind, or you just really don't understand when the people who are saying it. I still really don't know.
Well, because honestly, from a male perspective, for me, what it, it's about self-reflection, because when the reason it hurt is because it's just like, I would, even though I'm single right now, I would want my woman to feel protected, or I would want I would want to be able to provide for my woman. Otherwise, I would feel like less of a man. And so I think that like in instead of just facing that and like, realizing you have work to do, some people just decide to, try to, like you said, deflect it. And that's really counterproductive, which is why I wanted to do this today. Like, get Black women in here to say like, okay, I'm not afraid to admit, like, I want to learn like how to make you feel more loved or protected. I don't think men should be embarrassed about admitting that. Cause like, I saw something or read something, I can't remember where, but I think I was watching a documentary or something that said there were like 75% of Black homes grow up without a father or whatever. So a lot of us don't really get to see a functional relationship and how that's supposed to work. So it's like, it's not really our fault, and it's not really something we should be embarrassed about, that we need to learn more. So I felt like the best way to do that is just go directly to the source and talk to Black women. And of course, I, talked to my mom about it, and she, told me the same thing. Like, it's not always about just physical protection. And, a lot of the relationship she was in, she didn't feel protected. And that actually shocked me, because I never like known her to date like a, because when I think of that, I think of like bad guys, like predator type dudes. And I never like judged any of those men she was with to be predators, but she didn't feel protected. And she just explained to me how like protection goes so much deeper. And you said the same thing, so I'm not going to like reiterate, but I just think it's important for men to really just listen to women sometimes, and just learn a thing or two, and just I don't think it's a bad thing to want to be better.
Yeah, I can definitely learn things. I'm not like just don't teach me anything. Like I don't know. I know I don't have all the answers.
And that's what was it Aristotle that said a wise man, well, a wise person only knows that they know nothing. So you're on the right track there.
So what do you want to talk about?
Oh, that's funny. I was just about to ask you, like, because I have like a little not really like a
sheet.
Yeah, I have like a little some things I didn't want to forget to just say, or just kind of questions to ask you, throw to the women, so I can kind of get y'all's perspective on that. But I was just going to ask you, is there anything you wanted to, make sure we cover once the other girls get here?
Not necessarily. When you talked about gender roles, I really think that's an important conversation.
For sure. I'm going to go ahead and add that one in. I don't know. Should we throw feminism in there? Or is that too much for one episode?
No, we can talk about that.
And like, should Black women, and my question is like, should Black women have their own feminist movement? Like, because like, or, but that we'll get there when we get there.
Huh. I don't necessarily like believe in feminism. Like, I'm not a feminist. I will never ever call myself a feminist.
Right. And the reason I feel like you wouldn't particularly is because of like the amount of people, like the type of people that are all thrown together in a box. Like, because if the definition of feminism is just equality for men and women. So I would technically be a feminist, like, because I wouldn't want, my mom to receive anything less than some man just because he's a man, you know what I'm saying? Or any other woman for that matter. So technically that makes me a feminist. But so many people have came in and put all this like shit in there that, basically
I think a woman feminist and a man feminist are just so different. Like,
okay, well, okay, go into that.
Like a female feminist to me is like I can smack some dude and get all in his face, but the moment this nigga smacks me back
Yeah.
as a feminist, I'm like, oh, but I'm a woman, and
Right.
like I'm not with the shit. Like I'm not with that at all. Like you can't. And to me, like that seems to be like the only gear when it comes to like feminists. It's like I want to be able to do what the men do and say what the men say and participate, but not receive the consequences of. And that's not it. Like that's not gonna ever work for me.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying. Like, I guess you put that a lot better. But there's a lot of people like that polluting what's called feminism. So, like anybody that's not for feminism, I guess you could say, could like just point to that and be like, oh, well, look at what. So they're basically polluting the general idea of just equality for men and women. It's like it's so simple, but people calling themselves like I feel like they do that with Black Lives Matter too. Like,
My goodness.
and that we got to get to that because
We have to
that's a
get to Black Lives Matter versus
oh
LGBTQ, putting
Lord.
it together.
Oh
That
Lord. Oh Lord. Okay, yeah. Because jot that down. The way I like to like the question like the way I like to look at it is like, okay, Black Lives Matter, the statement versus like this so-called movement that like
hmm
the like alt right or the right would like to. And I hate saying like alt right or left because then it makes you seem like you're on one side or another. And I'm like,
right,
fuck that whole bird. You know what I'm saying? Like, get that
right,
shit out of here. Like, y'all, like, none of that's like for none of us. Like, we need our own
right.
Wakanda party or something. Like,
Start this shit over.
like for real. Like, we burn all of it down. Like, let's rebuild it, all of that kind of stuff.
That's a fact.
But it's just like I hate
That's a
when
fact.
like just because I'm saying, hey, my life matter or your life like your lives matter as black people, why is it that people have to say, oh, well, look at Black Lives Matter over here doing this? And I'm like, well, who are these people? All I'm saying is, hey, this cop shouldn't have like kneeled on George Floyd's neck for the amount of time that he did to kill him. Like, that's ridiculous. And to counteract that, they have nothing to say about that. They want to just say, oh, well, look at Black Lives Matter. Like, you know, they show you the screenshot of black people being angry and that's Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God.
Completely missing the entire point of what we're saying. And so it's like,
Yes.
at this point, it's like I really don't even want to talk to those people about it because it's like if you don't understand what we're saying at this point, it's like you don't want to get it, and so that makes you who you
By
are.
now.
You know what I mean? So it's just like let's just talk to each other and figure out how we can come together. Like forget all of them extra, outside people and
Oh yeah, we can talk about black on black crime versus.
Oh God, oh my Lord.
Yes,
Hey, please.
that's
I
important.
would say don't get me started on that, but if you want to get me started, we can. Because I'll bring up like World War One,
God.
World War Two. Like I'm like an expert on white crime. Like we could. Oh my God. Hold on.
Gosh.
Hey, hey, throw me that. Yeah, throw me that alley. Throw me that alley.
Cause that I'm so sick of even our own people saying shit like, let's talk
Bruh.
about this. Like, stop it. Stop. Cut the fucking shit.
But you know what? It's important that we have these conversations because I had to
Okay.
explain. I had to explain that to my grandmother, believe it or not. And I'm looking at her like
Yeah.
you were in this. Well, not in. I'm not gonna say she was in the civil rights movement, but she grew up during the time when there, Jim Crow. I asked her about like colored, if she ever experienced colored water fountains and white water, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, the way they paint us out to be is crazy, and it's like too many of us feed into it. We do need to control our own communities and value our own lives more for sure. But my whole point is that's not an argument to why somebody that's supposed to be enforcing the law is breaking the law and not being punished for it.
Right.
Like that makes no sense how
Right.
that's an argument for people. I don't
It's
get that.
not an
It's
argument. Like,
stressful. Like,
murder is inevitable. Like, it's inevitable. And if I am a person who commits murders, I'm more likely to commit murders in my community
oh my
or in
lord,
my
talk about it.
demographic.
Please talk about it.
Like, what are you saying? Like, black on black crime, like white on white crime. Are they calling it white on white crime
But
when
that's
these
my
bitches are
point. Like,
taking out $1 million policies for a man and like a month later he dies? Like, nobody is saying anything about, nobody uses the term white on white crime. They say crime of passion or
Oh man, but here,
love
but
triangle,
look, check this out though. They got a whole white on white crime channel called the ID channel where they,
oxygen, and all that shit.
bro, snapped,
Oh yeah,
Devil Among Us. Like all this is white on white crime. That's all. Like literally, oh, Timmy
all it
got
is.
pissed and stabbed 6 people, and and they're just trying to justify it for an hour. But meanwhile, when a drug dealer robs another drug dealer to get free drugs and money, you can't understand that. It's just black. Not saying
What?
it's right, but I'm just saying
What
it's just
happened?
like black on black crime. The
Right.
savages.
I didn't.
But
I
y'all walk
didn't
into
kill
a
this
school.
black man because he was black. That's the difference. Like, I didn't kill this black man because he was black.
Exactly.
This white man killed this black man because he was black.
It,
That is the difference.
like
Stop this shit.
like dude killed, like you said, this black man killed this black man because he had the bricks and he wanted to come up. It's not right, but it makes sense. Not, it really doesn't make
And
sense, but it's
nobody's
understandable.
justifying
Yeah,
the
it's not
crimes.
right.
Nobody's justifying. And those people go to
They
fucking jail.
they go to
every
jail or
time.
die. They literally go to jail or die, like
Every fucking time.
a painful death. Trust me.
The hood, when the hood finds out the person did it, everybody finds out the person did it, and they're going to fucking jail almost every single time.
Or dying.
So, right, or dying.
And,
So why are we even like comparing oranges and apples? That's dumb.
and the bad part about it is like they can't understand retaliation, but they want to teach you about the Hatfields and McCoys in school. Where
Eee!
where somebody stole a pig and now it's a generational war between two families, white on white crime nonetheless, but that we need to learn about that one though. A blood feud over a damn hog, but you can't understand people, so yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We just need to like exclude those people from conversations in general, though, because it's just like they are who they are at this point. I mean, yeah, of course, there's
Those
allies.
people are black people too. Those
Get them out of here.
Too.
Get them out of here.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm on like a blocking rampage. I'm like and I'm like, do I tell this person or do I block this person? But like where I am mentally right now, I have to block this person because it's like. I'm not gonna keep explaining all this shit to you. You are my age. You're in your 20s. You have access to all of these things, just like I do. And at this point, like you want to type as fast as I can, so you can read me instead of like really actually learning. You're actually just trying to beat me to the punch. Insult me, insult my intelligence,
and like be more petty, like you said on that one post that you made.
Be more petty instead of.
And that's sad. That's really sad.
We having the conversation. Let's have a conversation if you want to.
Let's do it. Yeah, I think that's sad, and I really liked that post, which I think that might have been the post that I was like, yeah, I need you on my pod to talk, because like I agree, and like I agree, and we definitely need this, and I just feel like I'm hoping that and I want to backtrack a little bit on something I said about getting black people out of here, because I think the point of this is to really bring them into understand, like getting us all together. So I don't want to like cast off any of our people or anything like that, and I'm hoping that us expressing these points will kind of open their eyes or their minds or hearts or whatever to some of the things we're saying, but I think we need to focus on unifying like-minded people like us together and pushing our community forward in any way we can, instead of just hoping it gets better or whatever, or so whatever, so that's where I'm at with it. But at the same time, our tolerance for those people, we're not going to cater to somebody that's just refusing to get the simple points. And it's just like, especially if it's a black person, you expect them to kind of come into the conversation with an understanding of what it's like, a general understanding of what it's like to be black in America.
Right. Like the one post was about the young lady, the activist who was murdered by a black guy. I forget her name. I said it, I forgot it before. And the reason I don't know her name is because they found the guy the next fucking day. That is the difference between black on black crime, and these fucking police brutality cases. I can't even get her name out because by the time I found out who the fuck she was, the guy was under the jail.
Arrested. Yeah, he's under the jail already.
So like, let's stop that shit. Like, we're not, we don't have the power to shoot people up with morals and values to be like, hey, no more of this and no more of that. What we can do is have the control in the after effects. In
Right.
the after effects, when somebody does something wrong, they need to be penalized, they need to be punished. I'm no fucking like ghost or whatever. I can't go in people's bodies and fucking control their body and make them do right from wrong.
Right.
So that's a stupid point to say something about black on black crime. The deed has already happened. So what we can do now is make sure that person goes to jail.
And my point to like people like that, when I do feel like I have the time to respond and like the energy and the stress level to respond, I let them know like, okay, so you're telling me that police can't operate under certain rules of engagement, right? But any soldier, like for example, my grandfather was in Vietnam. So, in war they have something called the Geneva Convention, which protects, soldiers or whatever. So a guy could be on a machine gun killing your whole platoon, but as soon as he surrenders, if you kill him, you're going to the brig for murder, even though he just slaughtered your whole platoon. Now, granted, they
Wow.
may not report you, but that's, if you kill a prisoner of war, that's surrendered by the Geneva Convention, you're supposed to, you go to the brig. It's a lot of our soldiers rotting in the brig for, killing people, that were unarmed or whatever. And even if they were terrorists or whoever, whatever label you want to put on them, because they were unarmed and not posing a threat to you and you killed them, that's murder. So how is it that
Yeah.
how is that the case on foreign soil, but here on our own country, who they're fighting for, who you were mad at Kaepernick for kneeling for because you said they were disrespecting your soldiers, like, but the police can kill citizens without, the same consequences?
Yes. And then the thing is like you go to a foreign country, you kill somebody, you're going to jail for the rest of your fucking life within an hour. Within an
Yeah.
hour, you're going to jail. So you come over here, no, you kill a citizen, like a regular citizen, down in a different country. You kill a citizen, you're going to jail within an hour for the rest of your fucking life. You come over here, kill a citizen. It's like, what the fuck? Like, these are your own people, your own individuals. Why is that so inconceivable? Like, you don't conceive that in your head that this is just 10 times worse. Like, these are the people, your next door neighbors. You're literally, it's supposed to be like your family. And these are the same people who are mad at Colin Kaepernick for kneeling. There's a girl who has been missing for almost 3 months who are saying stuff like, "Oh, you can't fucking kneel. That's disrespectful to the flag. It's disrespectful to the people who served this fucking country." This bitch has been gone for three. I mean, call her a bitch, but she's been gone for 3 months. She's been gone for 3 months, and none of these people are looking for this girl. Y'all care so much about the people who served this country. Ain't none of y'all got y'all asses up, went to Fort Hood, look for her body, look for her family. Like, look, this girl is not missing. She's dead. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, she's
honestly.
dead. And none of y'all are even reposting her photos. Y'all don't care. So stop using the term uh, kneeling is disrespectful to the country and the people who serve the country when y'all don't care about people who are missing right now, she was in active duty. Like, this girl, if they find her tomorrow and they think she's on the beach, she's AWOL because she
Hey,
was
that's what I'm saying.
active. And they not even like, her mom doesn't even speak English. She asked them to, like, you know, search all the bunks. Her mom asked them to, like, confine people, and like they wouldn't do it. Y'all are the people who are saying y'all care so much about the country. Y'all upset because y'all Colin Kaepernick kneeled and y'all serve this country. Sweetie, y'all don't give a damn about this girl. Y'all don't. And
Well, and
it's disgusting that they use that as an excuse. Y'all don't care.
yeah,
Stop acting like y'all care.
they don't care about the soldiers. And I think you can kind of make a parallel to what black women on Twitter were saying about like black men don't care about black women that aren't their families or whatever. And even though I disagree, like I feel like I do, but I had to check myself and like, because I was getting defensive, like, oh, I would, love, blah, blah, blah. But the point being, when you actually look at the veterans, like for example, I don't know if you've seen that story on the news yesterday where there was some VA run veteran like assisted living, I think, and 76 patients. I don't know the total number of patients that were in that house, but 76 of them have died from coronavirus just because of how like crazy the conditions were or are in there. And so I'm like, so where's the outrage, that was for Cat kneeling? Like, where's that outrage? And
Sheesh.
then before I, one more topic, like I said, my grandpa served in Vietnam, and on Father's Day, I talked to him about it. And, one of the things I asked him was just like, well, how did it feel fighting for a country like that and then coming home and being or even being disrespected out there by other white soldiers, or the Vietnamese people who the white soldiers have taught the word nigger and stuff like that, and then to come home and be called baby killer and all of this stuff, like just being disrespected on every level, even though you've did everything that the others have done to get this so-called respect and reverence that they so-called have. It's just like, where is all that for? It disappears when you're black, or what? Because we fought in every war that this country's ever had. So why is that even an argument as to why we deserve rights? And I mean, I don't mean to, well, I kind of do mean to get on the soapbox because that's kind of the point of a pod, but it's just like, it's just like, they just want talking points to kind of, like play devil's advocate as to, but they're so shallow. It doesn't have any depth to it. They don't, actually believe those things. Like, oh, you
No,
respect
they
this.
don't believe those
Yeah.
things. They don't believe those things. It's just like, well, what if? And then you answer them, and they're like, well, then what about this one? Like, it's endless. It's endless.
Right. And I mean, like black on black crime, it's the same thing. Like they make little situations like that for everything. And so it's like you care so much about the soldiers until the soldier's black, or, the soldier in general, like the homeless veterans. I mean, just, I don't know, man. It's crazy how they use that as such a talking point to like completely discount everything we're saying. And all we're saying is, hey, can you please just do your job and not kill us? Regardless of, here's my thing. George Floyd was accused of what was he accused of? Forgery?
No, a fake $20 bill.
Oh, so okay. So
Turns out
that makes it so much
the
worse.
bill was real all along.
And the bill was real, right? Okay, so even if he was guilty of having a counterfeit 20, where in our law does that warrant him being sentenced to death? And even if that was the case, where does it allow the police officers to carry out that, sentencing and then executing the, sentence? So it's just like, why are they arguing? And then, of course, the people that say, oh, well, this dude was
He was
killed by
a
police.
net.
Yeah. Or, I mean, but I'm more so looking at
Endless.
like, oh, the police killed this white boy. Nobody's outraged. Where's Black Lives Matter for this? Like, well, why aren't you outraged? Like, where's his parents? Like, I'm sure they were outraged. Where's his girlfriend? Where's his wife? Where's his kids? Like, I'm sure they are outraged. If he was
When
like,
they say stuff like that, it's like, well, white people die all the time by the police too, bitch. You're just making my point even better.
right,
You're
like,
just proving my point that they don't know how to do their job without resorting to violence, without taking somebody's life.
I mean, the real question we have to ask at the end of the day is like, what percentage of the police force is strictly join the police force just to brutalize black people and possibly kill one if the situation presented itself? Like if a nigga like reach wrong, you know what I'm saying? Like the Philandro Castile situation where this man reaching for his ID in his wallet, his back pocket, and he lights the damn car up with a child in the back. Like, what percentage of the police force join just to have a situation like that where they felt like they could, you know, possibly get away with it in court. Because that's what it's about at the end of the day. I don't know if you've seen the story about the Baltimore police who carried around toy guns to plant on people they shot, you know, and then they could say, oh, he had a gun. And you know, it's disgusting out here. And so, yeah,
I
man.
didn't know that story.
No, it's really disheartening what our people are facing, which is why I feel like we have to unify and, you know, like we have to, I'm not saying we need to throw our issues away or like minimize anything. I'm saying we have to work through them and, you know, learn more about each other, learn how to better care for each other and support each other. That way, you know, we can stand together for real. And, you know, because it's nothing worse than fake unity, I feel like, where we get unified for a couple days and just, you know,
Man.
we back at each other's necks, you know, the next.
Yes, because I mean, I really hate to say this, but this too will be over. You know, in months to come, things will go back to normal. But like this should not, this momentum should not go anywhere. We
Right.
need to keep this momentum forever. Stay on these people's, like, stick with this shit like forever. And like people forget, like during like the civil rights movement, like motherfuckers had to go through training. Like black people have to go through training, like sitting in cafes and like getting shit poured on them. Like, bro, that shit did not fucking work for us. Like, it didn't work for us. It so when white people are acting like we're so aggressive and so rah 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 or thugs or shit like that. Like, nigga, do y'all forget? Like, we used to let y'all spit on us
Mm.
so y'all could accept us. And
Just,
what
oof.
did y'all do?
Oof.
Y'all got even worse. Y'all got even crazier. Like,
Jesus.
I'm telling you, like, my parents used to like. This is another thing, like teaching your kids, because you know they're not gonna learn this shit in school. Our parents used to teach us, you know, about our history, Black history, and all that type of stuff. So I'm really grateful for my parents for that. But like they used to show us these books and show us stuff, and I'm like, God damn, like what the fuck? And little did I know, like 20 years later, I would be, you know, basically in the same situation. Like
Right.
this shit ain't over. It ain't never
Realizing we
been
haven't made no
over.
progress. Mm, mm, mm.
You know, like just going to school with your white friends and you thinking everything is cool, but you know they have a they it's not a big deal. It's not a big difference. And yes, we are, you know, intertwined in each other, but you know behind closed doors, they see most of us as the same and threatening and belligerent.
I'll never forget when I was in high school, when I moved out of A-Leaf or whatever and came to like
Mm-hmm.
my first like it sounds bad. I don't want to say integrated like I grew up in segregation or some shit or some Jim Crow, but like when I went to my first like mixed high school, because you know A-Leaf all black, like there was like literally
Oh
three white
yeah.
people in my whole like high school.
Black,
So
blackity, black,
oh
black,
man,
black,
you know,
black,
it's like
black,
going to a
Mexican.
HBCU, right? It's like going to a HBCU for high school, you know, or whatever. But anyway, so we moved to a quote unquote nicer neighborhood and you know, a new nicer school, and of course it's mixed and everything like that. So I'll never forget the day Obama, or it was either the day of the election or after he got elected. I think it was the day of the election.
Yeah.
And when I tell you white people, like first of all, the school was divided like in the cafeteria, half like white, half black.
Oh shoot, what happened? Oh,
Oh yeah, okay, you back. So the school was divided like in the cafeteria in the morning, half white, half black. And this dude, I don't remember who it was. I don't think I ever even saw who it was because all I
okay.
could see was this big ass Confederate flag. Like I'm talking about, like not no regular like flag you might carry or you'll see on the back of a truck. I'm talking about like a
Gigantic.
full size outdoor flagpole flag, and he was waving that shit around. And I just remember being like, "What the hell? Like, where am I right
What
now?
the
First of all, what
hell?
year is this?" And like, I just remember being horrified like that, you know,
Yeah.
because like you said, you go to the school with your white friends and you think it's all cool because y'all all, you know, oh look, MLK's dream came to fruition where we all in the same
Hmm.
classroom and shit. But dude came out with this damn giant. That might have been bigger than a flag that goes on a flagpole. That shit was huge, bro. Like,
Yeah. Who the fuck let
and
him in school with that?
exactly, right? Like, we have a whole officer sit right here, and y'all just watching him wave this shit around, talking about like a First Amendment or whatever they feel. So at that point, I
That's
was just
another thing
like,
white people love to do. Bring up Martin Luther King when we talk about this shit. Like, do you think Martin Luther King would be happy with this?
yes,
Like,
absolutely.
bitch, stop this. Cut it out.
That's why y'all killed him,
Towards the end of Martin Luther King's life, he was like, I fucked up.
which is
Like,
why they killed him.
Martin Luther King was an agent himself, but that's a different.
That is a different story, but all they did, but they did also, they were found guilty in court of killing him, assassinating him. So, but he was going rogue.
Yeah.
He was going rogue, like back to, hey, black community, maybe we shouldn't integrate because shit's kind of fucked up over here. Like,
Right.
and they wasn't having none of that. So they got him out of here. And the crazy thing I read is that he actually survived a gunshot and they smothered him in the hospital. So.
Oh yeah, it's pictures of him like
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the hospital.
just sitting there chilling like this. Like, he ate that shit, really. Like, honestly, he's sitting up there like this, and they came in there and smothered him. So, like,
Yes,
and then
this was
that's why they want you to be Martin Luther King. They want you to be the nonviolent. So if you get out of hand and too uppity, they can just out your ass. Like, that's that's what they want.
yes. They remind you. Oh my goodness! Every time a black person is on Fox, they remind black people. Well, wouldn't Martin Luther King not be happy about this? Like, and we're not even talking about violence. We are talking about self-defense. Like, we are talking about like not letting you beat my ass. Like,
And murder me.
and that's offensive to y'all. Like, I'm not letting you beat my ass. It's
Like, you're
you
mad.
are upset about this.
You're mad
Like,
about that. Like,
they
it's your
made a law in
constitutional
New York
right.
to make it like illegal to like throw water on police officers because like people were like in these brownstones and like they would see shit like outside, so they would just like chunk water outside, get the fucking officers off people. And they made it
Right.
illegal to throw water on officers. Like, bro, I'm not throwing a fucking can of corn at your head. Something I really want to do. I'm really just trying to stop you from killing this man outside my window.
Right.
But like
you're
it's
murdering
offensive
somebody.
to
I'm
them.
stopping you.
It's offensive to you to be like, bro, I don't want. And let me tell you, like, I was up for days, like, crying about Elijah. Like, I
Oh,
couldn't, like, even like, I couldn't. Elijah was somebody like I could have knew. He could have been one of my friends. Like, he could have been. And it's like I couldn't. I never watch any of the videos about when people die. I never do, but I don't have to because I
right.
know the end
The end
result. I don't
result.
need.
Yeah.
And even when I don't know the end result, when I watch videos like just scrolling and I see an altercation with a black man in a cop, my heart instantly just like sinks. I'm like, this is gonna end in death.
Yep.
That's fucking crazy. I don't understand how everybody black is not on fucking social security. We all have PTSD. Like, we
Facts.
are all fucking like we all need government assistance because we're all fucked up. We're all fucking scared shitless.
Absolutely.
How is it that motherfuckers go to Vietnam or go to fucking Afghanistan, come home and get on social security or have these benefits for having PTSD? Bitch, we had PTSD. We seen this shit firsthand, and the nigga still is out there. Like,
And that's the part that nobody wants to talk about. Is like, because first of all, obviously the soldiers that return home, they deserve all the care that the VA can provide
of
them for
course.
sure. We're not minimizing that at all. But what we can say, what she's like, what we're saying here is that we have to like live in these communities. Like, in another, not to keep talking about Vietnam or whatever, but since you said that, like, when you think about it, the American soldiers, you have to get on a big, transport plane and fly 10,000 miles away to be at Vietnam. And while you're there fighting, most of the time you're thinking about getting home alive. The enemy you're fighting in his home. The only way for him to
Right.
go home is to kill you. So
Right.
there's no, getting home. Victory for him is killing you. Victory for you is just making it back to your family and what you really, care about. And so, yeah, that's when you talk about the black community and black on black crime. It's like you just said, somebody can be a victim and have to live in the same community with the, person that's, and then going even deeper than that, people that are preyed on by family members or friends of family and have to continuously be like, in the
Victimized.
presence of these people. That's like that's one of those things that really just pulls at your heart. Is like, there's people out there, and that goes back to like black men wanting to protect black women or not protecting black women that we were talking about earlier. It's like situations like that. You just think about like, if you talk to young women, you talk to women about situations like sexual assault or sexual abuse, and then
Uh-huh.
you look at like statistics or whatever, and the statistic is like 2 and 4, or it might have even been higher than that, and that's only what's reported. And so it's just like as a man, you count on your hand all the women, and then apply that statistic, and then in your mind, you have to up that a little bit. And it's just like, I mean, it hurts. It's just like you want to do something about it. Like, what can you do about it? Like, like what, like how do I, so I mean, we're never gonna minimize the fact that our community is full of predators and people that deserve to be under jails and killed horribly. And you know I mean, we don't have to get vulgar or anything like that, but I'm just saying, we're never minimizing the things that go on in our own community. In fact, we're actually here to talk about them as well. But the thing is, like you said earlier, criminals are criminals. We expect them to commit crime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Police officers are supposed to uphold laws and enforce laws. So if it's illegal to murder people, why are police murdering people? That's all we're saying. That's all we're asking. It's not really even a question. It shouldn't happen. And if it does happen, just punish them like you do our criminals who kill people, and you call it black on black crime. Like, I really don't understand why we even still have to talk about, this to people. But there's literally a whole, I mean, they had the audacity to hold a rally in Tulsa on Juneteenth. Like, how do you expect us not to be enraged by that? And it's like, even, I'm a calm person outwardly. I try to
Yeah.
be, because of the fact that they will kill you if, it's easy to label us as angry black man, angry black woman. But why the fuck wouldn't we be angry, like, at the type of shit we're forced to experience and live through?
I feel like this man's campaign is a complete group of trolls. Like, just like troll. And like, so I don't know if you know this Republican named Angela Stanton. She was on the Breakfast Club like a few days ago. And like, I don't really identify, I don't know what I identify myself as, like, you know,
Yeah,
politically.
we're
I
we're
just
independent
say,
out here.
I just say like, I don't like that and I don't like that, But she was a Republican. She went on the Breakfast Club. She had done like a long sentence in jail where she was like stealing cars, like from like the dealership, and she served like a lengthy sentence. And she got out, but she was granted pardon by Donald Trump. And she just started talking about like all the things that Donald Trump has done for the black community. And that started me. I am not a Trump fan, but it made me think about like Barack Obama versus Donald Trump. And this nigga did not do nothing, like, at all. And I think
But be black.
like sometimes, exactly, and that's all he ever
That's all
had
we
to do was
needed.
be
That's all
black.
we needed. That's all we asked
That's
for
all
him. That's
he.
all we asked of him,
That's
though. That's the
all we
problem.
asked
That's the
for.
problem.
And like when we talk about Donald Trump, like I think sometimes like black people get confused about Donald Trump and Donald Trump fans. Like they sometimes like we blend that together and we mix it together. Again, I'm not a fan of this thing. I think he is like a troll. I think he's like
But you're
a
looking at the whole
Takashi six
picture.
nine of
Yeah.
the internet, like of presidencies. Like I think he is just like, not a good guy. But I think we mix stuff up. I think we're like, he did this, he did that, and then it's like white people who like him. First of all, the people who like this nigga is like white trailer trash people who are in the same predicament as other poor blacks.
Which is
So
crazy that they don't see that.
why the fuck are you wanting to support a Republican who is not going to do anything right by you politically? Going to take all your food stamps, going to take all of your this, is going to do everything against you. Why are y'all supporting this man and y'all are in the same tax bracket as poor blacks who y'all hate so much?
Right.
So
And it's crazy because the way I see like bigger picture, because that's a great point that you just made. It's really, I mean, not that we want to minimize racial issues or whatever, but racial issues only divide the class, like the like lower or working class or whatever, or
yeah,
anything under the 1%. It just divides us like that against, you know, the 1%. Because if we're all unified, if we didn't have reasons to segregate or hate each other, then we'd all be looking at them like, okay, well, you know, why we'd be holding them accountable basically for, you know, what's going on. And we, you know, we'd pay a lot more attention to the government and, you know, who's responsible for what. And it'd be problematic for our government because it, you know, it's so discombobulated and just, I mean, like you said, we have a, you know, a troll for a president right now. And I'm not, you know, like, you know, and one of the things that I wanted to do as well, because I just feel like a part of being responsible in, you know, your thinking is to just listen to all sides and just try to, you know what I mean? So, you know, I was listening, especially black Trump supporters. That's really what I was interested in, just to hear like what did they liked and whatever, because I had to
where did
self-evaluate.
you hear?
I mean, you know, mostly positive. It was mostly business owners, I would say, and they were really, you know,
Mm-hmm.
positive about, you know, some of the economical advancements that had been made and that it made their life better. And, you know, once they said that, I'm like, well, why wouldn't you support that if that was your life? And, you know, whoever else was, you know, your other option in voting was not going to do that for you. I could see you doing that. And I could see, you know, with him being a troll, like you said, manipulating the trailer trash into, you know, saying little sound bites about Mexicans or about blacks and having this rally. And
China flu, like,
oh no, I ain't gonna lie,
dude.
he kind of had me rolling on that one. But because she said, why do you keep saying the China flu? Because it came from China. China. I can't even hit it like he hit it. But
Kung Fu flu. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, and that's why I'm like, dude, you're a troll. You're a complete troll. But let me tell you what I heard from Black Republicans. They were talking about healthcare. Healthcare under Joe Biden sounds good, but then you get into it and it's like healthcare. This nigga's talking about nothing but abortions.
oh
And
my
it's
god.
like free abortions.
Okay, wait, hold on,
Free
hold on.
abortions.
Okay, can we
I
take
shit
like
you
a
not.
wait? Can we take like a 2 minute break real quick? I'm gonna refill my wine.
Okay.
And wait, no, because we got to get into Joe Biden because I got to explain to you why, like, he lost my vote like way early in the process or whatever. Spoiler alert!
Okay,
It's because he
okay.
told me I'm not black if I don't vote for him. So I'm like, the fuck, like, first you say that to me, that's the end of the conversation.
I need that.
Oh, bunny. All right, here we go. All right, so definitely one of the things I've been wanting to do is become more like politically educated, and, you know, as far as because I feel like that's a major problem as far as the political aspect in the country. It's like you're either born a Republican or a Democrat, and you just got to stick it out, and you know,
Yes.
and it's just like, well, what are my standpoint is kind of like what you said is like, well, what are the real issues we're talking about here? Like, just ask me how I feel about
Right.
this or that, and then, you know, like, why do I have to be in a box with these people or that people? Like, you know, like, I feel like that's so counterproductive. But I would like you to tell me about Joe Biden, and, you know, like I said, he
So
lost me at I'm not black if I don't vote for him.
Healthcare. So healthcare, under healthcare is like all these like free abortions,
Oh my god.
like, and need I remind you, all these abortion clinics are in black communities, which is fucking genocide. Like
We know
it's
about Planned
seriously
Parenthood.
genocide. And I heard from that interview Angela Stanton did, let so people are like, well, what if she was raped? Should she keep her baby? Less than 1% of abortions are from rape. Less than 1%. That is
I did
so
not know that.
less than 1%. So if you go get an abortion right now, 1,000 people have gotten abortions. Like it's just very, very 100 people got an abortion. Only one of those abortions have came from a rape victim. That's I had no idea that was true, but it's true. And she pulled up this stats for it, and it's like, so people are wanting to abort kids that aren't even thought of. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to keep this abortion law for yourself, and you're not even pregnant, and you're not like a child who's not even, in the womb right now. You are preparing a death for a child that's not even thought of. And I understand, people want to do whatever they want to do with their bodies, but to me, like it's very, very weird for people to just like, eh, instead of saying like, okay, well, I'll just have safer sex, or it's, and then when you go and you have an abortion, you have abortion after abortion, you won't be able to have a child in the future. So that is, again, genocide. You are stopping a woman's production and to be able to have future children, possibly. And so that's one thing that Joe Biden like wants to keep stressing about these laws, about healthcare laws.
And so he wants the
It's
abortions to be free, like as in taxpayer covered.
tax coverage free.
Hmm.
We like, I'm telling you, like it's weird. Another thing is like these transgender operations will be under healthcare. So these people will be able to get these reassignment surgeries in the name of healthcare. So remember, like maybe a week ago, Donald Trump got rid of the Obama bill that was
Mm-hmm.
like, remember, and it said
Yeah, I
something
remember
about
hearing
like he
about that.
canceled healthcare for transgenders.
Right, I
That
remember
was
hearing about
like,
that.
that did not, I had to look it up. It did not mean that. It meant he was canceling the surgery, like canceling that we would have to pay out for these surgeries.
Right, so he's
Like,
not. Yeah, he's
so
okay. Oh, go
he
ahead.
wasn't saying these people don't get health care. He was
Right,
not saying
they
that.
just
He
have
was
to
saying
pay
these
for it.
people, yeah, that we're canceling what these people are being able to get these surgeries for free, or being able to get it on somebody else's dime. And I personally don't want to pay for nobody else's surgery. I don't. Like I got to pay for my braces every month. I
Oh
got to pay,
man,
like, what the hell?
right, like that. Yeah,
And come
that little
on.
and healthcare deduction from the check be hurting. Like I don't even go to the doctor like that.
Man, like most people, I go to the doctor maybe like twice a year.
At the
Like
most,
under Obama, like I was penalized for not having health care when I could just pay out of pocket every year for going
right,
to the doctor. Like
right.
that is ridiculous. I was penalized. It's mandatory for me to have health insurance. Why? I don't need it. Like I'm in my 20s. Like, yes, everybody gets sick. It might be upcoming things but why are you penalizing people for that? It's
Right, like
already a hard thing to do. So another thing the lady was talking about, the Republican lady, she was saying right now under Donald Trump, we have the lowest number of African Americans unemployed. people love to talk about how, there's no opportunity. This is the lowest number we've had, besides coronavirus, because
Right,
coronavirus is,
right.
but other than that, it's the lowest number we've had. And that's important to people. People who think that having a job for their community is important. So why not take that into consideration? Or, I'm not looking at the person, I'm really looking at the policy. And under Joe Biden, like, he doesn't want to defund the police. He doesn't want to do, like,
He
he
doesn't want to
is not
legalize
for me.
cannabis, first of all, which is where he really lost me the first time. But then he told me I couldn't be black or if I didn't vote for him. So that really got him out of there for me. But yeah, I was really out with, because I don't know if it's true or not, but I did read or see something. I think it might have been on Facebook. So, it could have been completely false. But
Yeah.
they were talking about Trump possibly legalizing cannabis. And then I also saw another article where Joe Biden was like adamant that he wouldn't. So I'm like, so you want to just
I'm not
continue
against this
locking
guy.
black men up for cannabis while
And this dude is responsible for the three strikes rule. Like, let's
right,
just
right,
make
yeah,
that's the
yep.
biggest one.
Like,
This is the
can we
biggest
get
one.
into
Can
Biden
we?
real quick? Like, I mean, we have been, but like, let's really like just educate me about Biden, because I mean, I already knew I didn't like him, but it's just like
God.
you really just unfolding a lot of stuff right now.
I mean, like, that's the biggest one for me. Like, the three, he
Yeah, the
will
three
never
strikes,
apologize
like
for that. He will never apologize for that, even though that is so, it's almost solely responsible for getting caught with yourself, getting caught with weed on you one time. Okay, I bail myself out. Two times, bail myself out. The third time, I can get life
life
in
in
prison for that
prison,
shit.
right? Life in
What the
prison.
fuck is wrong with y'all? That is crazy.
Well, see, now we're stepping into the whole industrial prison slave complex. I mean, but I
Ugh.
mean that may.
Ugh.
Oh Lord, that's another bottle of wine right there. To be honest with you, I did get two just in case because I figured this would be one of those.
Like, he'll never apologize for that. He'll never reverse it. Meanwhile, Obama is in office, going around making laws for gays, and to each his own. But what about the people who have worked so hard to get you in office? Like, you can't. I remember when Tamir Rice died. This nigga didn't even put out a speech. He didn't. He didn't say nothing.
Hmm.
He said nothing, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, these people who are like loving you and da 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 you, and you in office, and boom. What
And
about us?
right, and one thing I did read. So somebody had broke down like the campaign funding for Obama's campaign, and number one was LGBTQ, and number two was the Hispanic American whatever. I don't know what the association or whatever the collective, but the Hispanic Americans were number two. So when
Yeah,
you look at what he accomplished in office, it was for LGBTQ and the Hispanic community. So I mean,
exactly.
black people were buying the Obama Air Force Ones, but I guess that wasn't really good enough for him. So
No, but
and
let me tell you, like, again, these Hispanic Americans, his not even Hispanic Americans, Hispanics who are not American, who are
mm.
Hispanic, who are illegal. Let's like
You thought about not
y'all.
going there, but then you just like fuck it.
I did think about it, but I was like,
But no,
I
let's
have
talk about it.
to.
We gotta talk about it.
We can
Like let's
talk about it.
it's a
Y'all are not the
situation.
same as us, okay, bitch? I was kidnapped. Like, bitch, I was
Mm,
kid fucking napped. I was
mm.
kidnapped and I was dragged here.
I gotta open
And
my eyes a
y'all
little
are
bit wider
acting
for
like
that one. I tried to get them wide
we are
as
not
possible.
the
Like
same.
ooh,
We are not the same. We're not the same. I was kidnapped and I
ooh.
was dragged here. And
Every time
y'all
you say that, I just like ooh. Talk about it, Jesus.
and y'all are acting like we are one of the same. Sweetie, we're not one of the same.
Mm.
We're not. And like, y'all are, the word illegal immigrant has the first word illegal. Like, what the fuck, bitch? You're illegal. Like, what the fuck? You're not not to say you're not supposed to be here, but I'm for damn sure supposed to be here. And for you to act like you are, uh, more bigot than white people is very
Mm.
strange. Like they don't like your ass either. Do you
They
not
hate you.
understand
Did you
that?
not see the wall campaign? They hate you. He said like, but it's like, that's a can of worms you just opened there, because it's like, I love my Hispanic, I
Super
love my Hispanic
bigot,
people, but
super bigot
there
Hispanic
is
people.
there is a strong community of Hispanic people that are absolutely bigots that hate black people, like you said, almost more than white people, just for whatever prejudice
Dare
reasons.
you?
Well, and I mean, and here's the thing I
White people
find.
give them the permission.
Well, and they like to recite a lot, and this goes for that. There's like a segment of every race like this, like Asians, Hispanics, even black people, where they want to recite the talking points and be the, oh, look at me, I'm not like them type situation where
Mm-hmm.
and so they think by outwardly hating us, it'll make them, it'll ingratiate them to white people. And I mean, it does in a way. You can be like their little dog or something where they pat you on the head, but you're not equal to them if that's what you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking in their mind. So, yeah, it's sad to see, but it's just like, yeah, it's hard to refute the wall when they start talking that shit.
I'm like, you do know they will shoot your ass down like a dog too.
And they
And
have
then they talk
been.
about yes, and then they talk about they say stuff like, well, it's not as broadcast so much because we're our families or people like that. Some people are illegal, and I'm like, you don't say, like, bitch, like,
I mean, like, and it's a difficult situation because I could understand, like, for example, the situation in Mexico with the cartel wars and shit is like, when I looked into that, like, for example, I don't know if you remember when El Chapo's son got arrested,
mm-hmm.
and
I don't remember, but what happened?
so he got arrested, and basically the cartel pulled up to the prison and, like, had a war with the police and got him out. Like, the police had to release him
Oh
so they
my
could shut shit down. So
gosh.
I'm like, at that point, the cartel has taken over Mexico, like, outwardly. Like, y'all
Yes.
have, like, the government, none of that shit. Like, y'all went to war, like, the cartel went to war with the Mexican government and won. So it's
Yeah.
just like, uh, I don't know. So I understand people trying to escape that to get a better life
Yes,
for their
I
family.
understand that.
And I don't want to minimize or make it seem like I don't, because I feel really bad for the, especially the children locked up in cages. And I read something where a 7-year-old child in an ICE camp died of dehydration. Like, y'all can't provide water. Like, y'all are detaining people, but y'all can't provide
They
water.
can.
Like,
They can.
they can, but they're not. So it's just like, either y'all need to turn them over to the Mexican government, or figure out living conditions where you're not having kids fall out from dehydration. That's crazy to me. But yeah, there's like
Yeah.
a sick part in every community that's, there's predators and just ignorance and, all that kind of stuff. And we just got to combat that by, I guess, having these discussions.
They said they lost like 3,000 of those kids
Oh yeah, that's human trafficking, sadly.
for sure.
But I can't remember
For
if
sure.
I was reading an article or if I watched the whole documentary, but they were talking about how basically the like cartel members or whatever, they'll use children to get into the country. Or I can't remember how it worked, but they, for whatever reason, when they were crossing the border, they would bring children with them, and that would allow them entry or some type of way, which is why we have all these like unattended children, undocumented children, or whatever. And when you say undocumented children, it makes you think like, we have basically our president is on trial right now for being a part of a pedophile ring, right? Along with all these
Hillary
rich and
too.
famous people, and you have thousands
Hillary is
of.
in a different
Oh yeah, Hillary.
indictment.
Oh, we can get in. We got to get into that too, because
Eek.
but they all these rich pedophiles and thousands of undocumented children that nobody knows is here. Like, yeah, that kind of screams sex trafficking to me. Because you don't just lose 3,000 children. I mean, you either kill them or you ship them off somewhere. Like, what happened to them? And then that's not to that's not to mention like what's happening to these kids while they're there. And that brings me back to my other point is like, yeah, just because somebody might be doing something illegal or what you claim to be illegal, that doesn't give you the right to abuse them or kill them or anything like that. And that's the same struggle we're going through, which is why it's hurtful when, you know, our Hispanic neighbors, whether they're illegal or not, take the racism route and they want to, oh, well, black people, if you did this or that, maybe you wouldn't be getting killed or whatever.
Yes.
You know.
And these when you go to these protests, when you see these protests, there's whites and blacks there. You don't see these Hispanics giving a fuck. You don't. They not showing up and showing out. They really not. They don't see themselves like us.
Right.
And y'all not like us. We are a lot different. The difference is that I did not have a choice in being here.
Right. Talk
I
about it.
I would love to go back to fucking where the fuck I came from if I knew where the
Yeah,
fuck it was.
please
But
tell
guess
me
what?
where that is,
My
though.
identity is erased.
Mm.
You know, I don't know the language, the fucking my real name. You know,
Mm.
so how the fuck are you gonna tell me to leave? You think you're so much better than me, but I don't want to be here, bitch. Like, I would love to go back to Africa.
Right. And
Like,
like,
if I knew my fucking history, well, knew my personal, you know, lineage, of course I would want to go
absolutely.
and see where that is or
But you robbed me
what's
of that.
about.
You robbed me of that and then mocked me by telling me to go back to what I've never known. I don't know where that
Go
is.
back.
Like
It's like my
that's
mom is
so
part Native
infuriating.
American, bitch. Like, what are you gonna tell that other half of me, motherfucker?
To go
Like,
to South
bitch, I was
Dakota.
here before you was,
Yeah, they gonna
motherfucker.
send you to
Like,
South Dakota and put you on a reservation and then, call it native on native crime when, a fight breaks out or something. Like, it's just so sick because we see this and see the thing is like you look at Africa, right? And how
yeah,
they've drawn out all these countries that, based on European standards or whatever they wanted to do, how they wanted to divide the country, but they've divided up tribal lines so much that, that sent Africa into a whole nother war zone. All this war and genocide, like they like to point the camera at Africa and say, look at these savages, but you know, they don't want to talk about the colonialization effect that it's had on it. And then you can see that in every other country you go to where like you go to the Bahamas and there's colorism. You go to, Jamaica,
yeah,
there's colorism. Like, so it's
yeah.
just like, it's not just us in America. Like it's
Really
everywhere.
not.
It's like all of this, like it's so deeply entrenched in who we are as a people. And that's sad to say, but it's the reality.
It is Asians, all of them. They are colorist as fuck. Like,
Oh
the
man.
lighter the better. Meanwhile, having a nose just like mine. I
Right.
forget what part of Asia that is. Like, they were wearing, that little white face that they do,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
and
geisha.
like you could not tell that these were Asian people because like their noses were so much like ours. It was so crazy. Her her nose looked like mine.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
have
there's
the same features as ours. What are you doing, sis?
oh yeah, there's Aboriginal on every continent or in country and everything.
Gosh,
Like it's funny
don't
because
tell them.
when I first saw the Aboriginals in Australia all those times, because I was like, wow, like, because I was thinking of Australia as just hello mate and all of that shit, but there's actually like real live black people just out there that's been there
Yeah,
before anybody. And same thing in Asia, same thing in Europe even, but they don't, that's why they blew the noses off the Sphinx, because they want you to believe that the pharaohs was white, which is
they
like
really.
but it's like even the hole that the blast left is too big to be a white nose, though.
They want to take credit for all of the beautiful things that I mean, they convince we fools. That's really what it is. They convince we fools, and a part of us have been fools
I
for a
mean, they've worked
while.
hard. They worked hard at keeping us,
Yes, some of us have been fools. Some of us have been fools, and some of us have been fooled, and we
bamboozled, like Malcolm X said.
bamboozled.
Mm, mm, mm.
I'm just lucky, you know, somebody taught me things and, showed me things and helped me to understand certain things, about myself. It's unfortunate, you know. Candace Owens, I'm gonna kick her ass if I ever see her.
And it's funny you bring that up because I was actually I tried to watch I was trying to watch a couple of her videos just to see what it was about because I was just seeing like the hate for her and I just wanted to see like, well, what's it, what's it really about. So I definitely saw the panel with Ti and Killer Mike and all of that, and then I started watching another video, but I didn't really get to finish it. So tell me about Candace.
Candace Owens, that's a Candace Owens. I know a Candace Owens, but her name, she started off normal. Like she started off Republican and giving out these conservative views. Like
Mm-hmm.
I said about abortion and stuff, it was completely fine with me about
Mm-hmm.
how black people, we're not meant to stay on food stamps forever. Poor blacks ain't meant to stay on food stamps for their whole life. It's not meant for that. That is completely fine. Then she goes and like starts touching stuff that she don't have no business touching, which bothers me. It really does. When she goes and makes these personal posts about George Floyd and what he did and who he was, and I don't give a fuck who somebody was. And the police officer didn't know that shit. She said made this video about George Floyd and how he was on this and how he was on that. And we turned him into a hero and a martyr. And I have yet to hear one person call George Floyd a fucking hero. Like, nobody has said those fucking words. You're
Right.
making that shit up. Nobody is calling him a hero. We're calling him,
Well, we're just
we're,
asking a simple question,
we're
like,
using, we're using him as a example of how fucked up shit is. Nobody is using him as a hero. Nobody wants He's dead. Nobody wants to be like him. What are you saying? So it's unfortunate that she's obviously getting paid to say foul shit because that's what it has to be. Not only that, I looked up her. She went to an all white school growing up at one point, and the white boys was picking on her, being mean to her, calling her nigger, pulling her hair. The NAACP jumped in as her, hired her an attorney, and sued the school for her. She won a settlement. Now she's saying all these awful things about the NAACP. Her grandfather went on record saying, I don't know who the fuck this is. Like, we didn't raise her
right.
like that. Like, so I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and at this point, I think she's just doing it for the shock. Like, it has to be that because what else could it be?
Um, Honestly, for me, if I had to take a stab at it, and I'm not just trying to like say my word is law or whatever, because like I said, I just started watching her shit or whatever, trying to figure out what the outrage was about. But I would assume that it would be the trolls we were talking about earlier, the Trump supporters who want to hear all the negative,
Yeah.
let's take it back to the 50s where you could beat a nigger in the street as a cop, and all of that. They want to hear all that, so they probably flooded her with support, and she's high off that because whole time while she was in high school getting called a nigger, all she probably ever wanted was to be accepted by these people. So for the first time in her life, saying these things because she's super intelligent, obviously. So for her
Mm-hmm.
to, intentionally miss the point and cater to what the fuck they want to hear, it to me it just seems like she's kind of drunk off that attention and that support and, kind of just catering to what they want, which is what I feel like Trump does a lot. He caters to little undertones that can, without just calling us niggers outright, like he caters to the ones that, want, he
Yes.
it's like how black people can understand each other in a room. Like if it's a room full of white people, two black people walk in and look at each other like you
Or like,
good. You know what I'm saying? Like they have that shit too for racism, but I don't know how it works, but they got that shit too. So I feel like that's kind of Trump's angle is kind of low key like inspire, not even low key really, but just inspiring those type of people. And so those, I feel like if those people probably jumped behind all this stuff, like what you were saying about, she said about George Floyd, the support she got from that, from the KKK probably, made her want to be their spokeswoman. I don't know if you ever seen that.
People are like, she should go for president. I'm like, y'all are so stupid. Like,
And I mean, I will admit, I did like most of what she, if not everything. I don't remember exactly everything she said, obviously, but on the TI panel, when she was on the panel, I liked the things she was
that was
saying.
completely
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. So it's, to hear her miss the point about George Floyd like that when she's so intelligent, it can't be anything but intentional, in my opinion. Because it's just like, it
Right.
goes back to the point we made earlier, is like, whatever you're accusing George Floyd of, the police, their job is to apprehend him, worst case. Under no circumstances are they allowed to sentence him to a punishment and execute that punishment. So why, murder is murder. There's no James Bond license. Well, there probably is on some Secret Service shit, but that's not what we're talking about. But police officer, gun and badge don't give you a right to just murder somebody because you think they used a fake 20. That's ridiculous. And for somebody so intelligent like Candace Owens to miss that point is sad, honestly.
Yeah.
I think I
She's
kind of
just
feel
a
bad,
troll too.
and I feel bad because I feel like
Probably.
mostly maybe black people attacking her for her conservative views may have driven her right into the arms of these
Right,
racists. So I
right,
do feel bad about that. Like maybe if we could just reel her back in a little bit, little reprogramming, maybe get
right,
her back on our
right.
side, because we
Because
need all
ain't
of our.
nothing wrong with being conservative
No,
because
it's
a
not.
lot of
Absolutely not.
black people, like most black people, grow up Christian.
Yeah.
Let's
Oh,
be honest. So,
oh.
right, most black people grow up Christian.
Right.
So, if you want to take all these values that you learn from being
Conservative
like a
values.
Christian,
Hmm.
those are conservative values. So,
Absolutely.
like, it confuses me when black people say, "Okay, I'm a Democrat." Like,
Right.
almost every Democrat thing goes against your
Oh my
so-called
God.
Christianity. So why are you still, claiming to be a Christian? And like that's what y'all really like swear by. Like y'all swear by this church shit and but being a Democrat almost goes against every one of those things.
Absolutely.
Like when people grow up and they have a oops baby at like 18, like in Christian families, like you go marry the dude. You don't fucking abort it. It's frowned upon. So for all these people who are Democrats to swear by abortion and be like, I'm okay with that now, but I'm still a Christian, it goes against what you swear your core values are. And I don't understand that really.
So, well, let me just ask you this as a woman, because it's not really a man's place. I'm not gonna say not really. It's not a man's place to talk about what a woman does with her body. So, when it comes to
I don't agree
abortion,
with that.
well, okay, that's why I wanted to talk to you about it. Like, as a woman, I just wanted to get your
Okay.
perspective on abortion. Like, not that if you don't feel comfortable, like necessarily, even though I feel like I already know what your views are just from talking to you, but um, I was gonna say I don't think it's a man's place to tell a woman what to do with her body. But
Okay.
we can talk about if it's like, if it's your baby, like maybe you should have some. We could talk about that too. But I just want to know like how you see it and how you feel like men, like how should men handle that topic as far as like.
Okay. If somebody says, I'm not going to be there for your fucking baby, don't have the fucking baby. If somebody's telling you to your face, don't have this baby because I can't be there for you or this baby, to tell him you're going to have the baby anyway, be completely prepared to take care of this baby by yourself. And that's the end of the discussion. And then somebody say, okay, well, I'll take care of this baby by myself. So you are willing to sacrifice this baby having a child, a father in his home, a father nearby, all for child support. All for child support. That's the only thing you're getting. By law, you cannot make this man show up to custody agreements. He don't have to see this kid ever again. He don't. The only thing he can legally do, you can legally make him do, is pay child support. So before this child even comes into fruition, You know, by having, let's say you had the conversation. Let's just say you had the conversation. This person say, I'm not gonna be there for you and this child, and you have the baby anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you are getting is child support. So you are willing to bring a child into this world knowing the only thing you're gonna get in return from the man is child support. That is so irresponsible. That's my opinion. I think that's irresponsible to
Mm.
do.
Well,
And
what if she feels like she can, do it? Because I don't know if you watched my first episode, but when my father passed away when I was 12, so my mom was a single mom and did a great
uh-huh.
job, fabulous job, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, that's not what we're talking about, but like, what if it's a woman that like knows, hey, I'm financially stable, I can take care of this. I mean, granted, I'm not minimizing what a father brings to the upbringing of a child or anything like that. But do you still feel like it would be irresponsible if a woman genuinely wanted the child and just was able to properly take care of it?
I think it's irresponsible. To
Mm.
finances is a very small. It's like almost the smallest part about parenthood.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Finances.
yeah, yeah.
It's the smallest part
It's the
about.
bare minimum is what I'm saying. Like you have to be able
Yes.
to
So
provide food and clothing and shelter for your child. That's the bare minimum of being a parent.
yes. So you are willing. So for you to say, well, the only thing at this point, I know the only thing I'm going to get from this man is child support. He's not going to show up. He's not going to be an active member. He's not going to be in the child's life. Like knowing what you risk by having an absent father, at this point, we know now. Like we know now. We know that you're less likely to have, self-confidence. You're less likely to, more likely to commit suicide. You're more likely to go to jail. You're more likely to do this. All these things that are a negative. Why would you want to subject a baby to that?
Wow.
I think that's not. I think it's cruel, not necessarily irresponsible. Well, that too, but most definitely cruel because, and then if you went through that yourself, you know how harmful that could be, hurtful, harmful, scary that could be, and then you turn around and do it again.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So we're about to open a can of worms. Well, we already did open the can of worms here, but
Eek,
so,
eek.
oh God, like I don't even know where to start with this one, but okay. So, wow. So, with the black community, like I said, the stat that I can't remember where that was from. I probably need to look that up again, but it was like 74% of black homes are fatherless. So, question A,
Uh-huh.
what do you think the recourse for that would be? Like obviously, I know you wouldn't support like mass abortion or anything like that, but B, what about accountability for the men women are choosing to, reproduce with? And I understand that like you very rarely choose to reproduce unless you're like married and trying to have kids. It just kind of happens. So
Right.
where do like, because obviously the way I look at it is like, okay, there's a lot of men that are scumbags, fucking terrible people like that. We talk, I think we said that already, but just getting that out there again. So it's just like at what point,
Bitches do.
so it's just like at what point as a man that wants, like as a black man that wants to love and just protect black women, like at what point does my responsibility end and then it becomes like overprotective as far as like the men you're choosing? Like if it's like if I see a black woman, it's like, hey, this dude you're into is a scumbag. It's like, where is my place to say that? That's question B though. So yeah.
Question A was, what's the solution?
I kind of forgot to be honest with you, but
I think
it
I
was
think he said, I think it was like, well, you don't believe in mass
oh yeah,
abortion,
yeah, yeah. So
so
if
what
we're
is okay?
74% of us are growing up in a home without the father. So like 74% of the black community has like absent father household. So like what's the solution to like the girl that gets pregnant and she knows, like you said, the dad's not going to be there? If that's 75% of black pregnancies, what's the solution versus, and then, you know, question B was, where does the protecting black women from scumbags, like when does it become their accountability to like pick better people and just like, you know, stop giving the scumbags play, and, you know, what can we do as decent men that want to
All
love
of
and
that.
protect
It's
you?
all of that.
Well, I'm
It's
just
so
getting your
it's
perspective on those. Like those are my
but
questions.
okay. So like everybody all of a sudden during this moment right now, everybody's claiming, let's get back to loving each other. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to that. Okay, well, what's our template? Like, let's get back
Mm-hmm.
to the template. Let's get back to the template. Let's talk about our grandparents, okay? Who
Great
had this
grandparents.
black love, forever love, all that shit. Let's get back to the template of that shit. Like I understand like our great grandparents, like yes, they were in these relationships for convenience and sometimes
Oh my God, talk about it. What you mean sometimes?
a lot
That
of
was
times
life. Like that was
that was
life.
like it was survival.
Like you had to
But like
pair up and survive. Like,
but that's what this shit is now. And like we need to fight for it like it's survival. Like we need to fight for it like our life depends on this shit. Like and like I think like we just treating this shit like a sport. Like
mm,
it's a day to day thing, and like that ain't it. That ain't it. We need to act like them. They was acting like this was survival. Like this is what they had to do. So to keep the ball rolling, to be progressive. Why are we acting like, okay, well, this man said don't want to be in my life. Well, the government gonna take care of me. And
ooh, yeah.
like that is not it. Because guess what you're doing? You're you're possibly gonna put this man in jail. Then you got another black man in jail, which y'all claim to be against so much. These men in jail, y'all want to have these men out loving you and protecting you, but y'all are willing to. I mean, like it's a it's a domino effect. You want to have. Let's talk about it. Like it's a
I mean, no,
domino
like
effect.
as well as say, let's talk about it, because how do you feel as a black woman about, you know, back in the, you know, I mean, this has been going on for generations now, but the incentivization by the government of removing the black man from the home, like for example,
It's sick.
it's sick, yes, absolutely,
It's sick.
and I mean, we're
It's
still
the
seeing the effects.
and again, that's something Democrats love to talk about. Like, okay, well, we gonna give you more food stamps and we gonna give you more public housing at the expense of what? Not having a black
At
man in your home.
at what cost? At what fucking cost? Because
And
mm,
I'm not willing to sacrifice, my kids, my invisible kids for, you know, um $1,000 in food stamps in a nice apartment. Like I'm not, all
mm,
because, the man don't want to be with me. That's, pick first of all, pick better.
mm.
That's and I know like some people are gonna be like, well, sometimes niggas be lying. Like, yes, sometimes niggas be lying, but
Bro, I read that exact comment. I read that
like
exact
niggas be lying.
comment on a post about this, and but they right though. Niggas do be lying.
I've
I'm not
never
gonna
been
lie.
confused about a nigga who wasn't shit in my life. I'm not even
Mm.
joking. I've never been confused. When something fucked up happened to me with a nigga who wasn't shit, I was never like, I ain't see that shit coming. Like,
Right, right,
I
right.
promise you. I promise you, I've never been like, ah, he fooled me. Never. Like,
And it's the same thing with ain't shit women too. To be honest with you, for all the men that's mad at women out there too, like, yeah, bro, you knew she was kind of thotty when you know slid in her DMs or whatever you did. So, wow.
I ain't never been like, God dang, like he sure had me, like so first of all we gotta make better choices in the men that we want. And we acting like we want to be so down for the cause, for the black power, and let's get back to our roots and let's do all that shit. But y'all not even starting with the fundamentals. Y'all not even being on the same page of what a functional family looks like. Like where do you want to be? or what
Right.
y'all trying to do? Y'all are just basically, just running around and putting two people in a home together and thinking like, again, that goes into probably goes into generational roles and all that type of stuff, and like all of that is intertwined.
Yes, it is. So, I mean, since we're here on this can of worms, I'm thinking like,
Yikes.
do we need to jump into just briefly relationships and how we can improve how we like approach relationships? Because I feel like a lot of people can get it, like you can get into relationships with really good intentions or whatever, but at the end of the day you don't really know a person. So I feel like a large part of that initial like first year, 2 years, 3 years in a relationship is really just getting to know who a person really is, and not like just that honeymoon phase of putting the best foot forward and stuff like that. So what do you think about situations where maybe two people are starting off dating, really liking each other and getting to know each other, and then
Uh-huh.
it kind of gets real when somebody gets pregnant, and
Yikes.
you know what I mean, and then you find out maybe, oh, this person's not as cool under pressure as I thought, or like maybe, hey, like now that I'm really looking at it seriously, do I want to spend every day the rest of my life with this person? And you know how do you feel like and I'm not trying to force you to be like an expert on relationships or anything. I'm just asking for your perspective. Like, what do you think we can do to be better, like, as black men and women, as far as like approaching relationships and really committing to, making like that good family unit that you were talking about?
It's easy to say stuff like don't lie and don't do this and don't do that.
Right,
Like,
right,
but
right. Like, let's remove the scumbags from the equation. Like, let's just talk about like the people that really all you want to do. You just want to like find you a black man or woman and love them and like build a successful family. Like, what are the steps do you feel like to build a healthy
ooh,
relationships? Like, let's remove the scumbags who are gonna lie, cheat.
generational trauma
Oh,
is
whoa, oh, wait. Well, you just kind of pulled that one out the bag. Like,
like we have to like clear up all of that shit. Like we have to talk about our generational trauma. Like what did you see at home?
oh
Like
wow,
what did you see? Because I need to tell you what I saw.
yeah, no,
That
because I'm
shit,
big on that. I'm big on that.
I don't want to see that shit ever again. And like that is like, I don't want to say the foundation, but that is, I need to see where somebody's head is. Like, because our parents didn't always get it right,
Oh
but
my god,
you know,
but
they didn't have, they made it, they had issues too and all that shit. But I want to know, if are you willing to like not have those issues? Are you willing to like not live that life? Like, are you, what's up?
like
Like,
how do we make this better and different? But real quick, let's take another two minute break, and then I want to start this segment. Like, give this prop. Like, I want to like start this segment properly, and really give it the attention it deserves, because this is another huge topic that we as the people got to talk about. All right.
all right.